Billie-Jo Porter was a 2022 Toyota Star Maker Grand Finalist, and she released her self-titled debut album last year, which is a lovely piece of work. If you haven't heard it yet, I do recommend it. But she has a brand new single called Howl at the Moon, and we're going to talk about the single, not the album, because we've already spoken about that. Hello, Billie-Jo.
Hey, Sophie, it's good to see you.
It's good to see you as well and to talk about this song. But I'm going to first ask you about howling at the moon, literally or metaphorically, and the first time you may have done it.
Ah, good question. Yeah, so the reason I ended up writing this song was I was at a show down at the Park Beach Reserve, which is in Coffs Harbour, and it's a Twilight Market show. And I'd been playing my whole set, and as I was playing, I was just watching this like magnificent, huge moon. It must have been one of those special, you know how sometimes they get really big.
Mhm.
Anyway, this moon was just coming up like over the horizon and the ocean, and I was just mesmerized watching it, and I just got the whole crowd to turn around. I'm like, look at this moon. Let's just take a moment to really appreciate like this scenery that we've got. And we all like looked at it and loved it. And I'm like, you know what? I really think we should just howl. Should we howl at this moon? And everyone was like, no. So we all just howled at the moon in a group of people, and it was so weird, but also so wonderful. And it really felt like, you know, we had become one, like one as a group.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was a really special feeling. And I thought, you know what, I've got to recreate this. I need to write a song about it.
Yeah. It's, I mean, there's quite a bit wrapped up in the concept of howling at the moon. There's the idea of living in accordance with nature, for one thing, and also of letting go. And so I'm wondering if, in some respects, actually documenting that in a song was a form of, well, a form of letting go, but also in its own way, howling at the moon. So it's like a metatextual thing.
Yeah, definitely. Well, like while I started writing it, I started thinking about, okay, what do I want the song to say? And I'm like, oh, well, I was also thinking about how, you know, these days I'm way more tame than I used to be. Like when I was younger, we used to just get after it at any given opportunity, any given opportunity. And so I was thinking about, you know, those younger days and those glory days, and you look back on them now and you're like, wow, I'm glad I did that, but I don't know if I could do it again. And then I was like, sometimes the moment just calls for it. Like, you know, someone might be getting married or having a celebration, or you go to a festival and there's an opportunity to let your hair down and let go.
Mhm.
And I've wanted to tie, you know, those, oh, we did it then. It was okay to let go when, you know, we're younger, but now, like, here we are. It's still okay to let go. Like, no matter what, like, it's got to be done. I
Yeah.
think is part of the song. Yeah.
Well, and also because I know you are a yoga practitioner. I'm a long time yoga practitioner. Last year, I was dancing through the streets of Brunswick Heads in New South Wales with my teacher, who was very fond of doing that kind of thing. So that's its own form of howling at the moon. And so it's interesting because I've almost observed myself censoring that activity when I was a bit younger, and now I'm just like, oh, I don't care. So it's interesting that you're saying you feel you're tamer now than you were, because I actually wonder if creatively that's true, or whether creatively you're actually less tamed
Oh,
than you were.
no, like, if I think about it in that sense, like, I think when I was younger, I was just like, devil may care, like, oh, just go here, go there, it doesn't matter, like, let's just live life kind of thing. And I guess now I'm kind of, in terms of more serious, I'm locking in with like, you know, I've got all these bills to pay now, and I've got all these concerns and worries about, but I'm still like, I am at the point in my life where I'm not caring about, you know, what anyone thinks at all. I'm still at that point where, you know, if I want to walk out my front door and have a howl at the moon, I'll do it. It doesn't matter what the neighbors say, you know what I mean? So yeah, I guess maybe that's something that comes with age, is that like, you don't worry too much about what people think, and you can like let loose a little, or let loose in that sense a bit more without, yeah, feeling judged.
Hmm. And I wonder how being a performer feeds into that too, because obviously to get up on stage, if you spend too much time and energy worrying about what the audience is going to think, you may never get up on that stage.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and that probably back in the day tore me up a little bit, like when I was going through the times of being super nervous and like, yeah, not knowing who I was, I suppose, and trying to get up there and perform and like being worried, like if I made a mistake, like afterwards, like, oh, can't believe I did that, the shame of it. But these days I'm like, oh, fail forward. There's gotta be there's gotta be some point somewhere along the way where, you're gonna make mistakes. But you just gotta learn from it and go out there and do it better next time and not worry about it as much.
Yeah, because I don't think people actually really notice it, particularly if you, as a performer, if you make a mistake and just keep going, people probably think it's part of the show.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Or like, I don't know, I don't know if I've talked about it with you before, but I listened to this podcast where they were talking to Metallica, the guy from Metallica, and he was talking about how like one night they were up doing this massive concert as they do because they're Metallica, and they started playing one of their songs and it didn't start right. And so in the middle of the song they stopped it and said, look, it's not working, we're going to start again. And I thought, you know what? If Metallica can do it, that's fine.
Yeah, and I do think the audience goes, all right, well, you're in charge. And if you're a performer who just holds that space for people, they will go with whatever you do.
Go with it, yeah.
So, given that the first Howling of the Moon happened at a gig, if you have performed this song live since, have you in fact got the audience to howl during the song?
Oh, every time. Every time. I can't help myself. I always whip out some random percentage. I'm like, look, this song becomes 197% better if you just howl at any given moment throughout the song. And yeah, once I just kind of declare it as a safe place, and once one person does it, it just opens the floodgates.
Have you
Great.
not? Oh, sorry, I was just.
Oh, I was just gonna say I did a support for Mel Dyer when she did a had to be their show at in Warhope, and there was so many people there. It was a packed house, and the whole lot of everyone was just howling back at that song. It was so cool.
That'd be some great energy to work with for the rest of the set.
Yeah, I definitely don't spring it on people first song. I kind of like warm them up into it.
I also wonder if there are geographic differences in terms of how people respond, because as a performer, you would play in so many different places. Are there places where people have been too stitched up to do it?
Yeah, sometimes there's only a few howlers. And
Right.
sometimes you can get the whole room going. Like just on the weekend actually I played a show and there was a bunch of women that were on a girls trip from Narrabri
All
to
right.
to Woolgoolga, and they were all like, one of them was turning 60, and so they were just there and they were letting it all hang out, and they were up the margaritas, and I tell you what, they lifted the roof off the place. And there was only 10 or 12 of them. I just got everybody going, so it's kind of like it's like a bit of a catching fever. It's good.
Yeah, I love what you created there. You're giving people permission to. It's like primal scream therapy.
Yeah, exactly.
So, you worked with Shane Nicholson, who also produced your album, on this song. I'm wondering if Shane did any howling in the studio with you.
Oh, look, if I'm being totally honest, when I was gonna do this song, I'm like, hope Shane doesn't think it's too cringe to, get the howling going. But like we started doing the song and he didn't howl himself, but he wasn't opposed when I said, Shane, I think we need to actually get some wolves howling in the song. He's like, okay. Like he's probably once, he said, probably once. Otherwise, if it was in there too much, it might be too much. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose you don't want to go the Warren Zevon Werewolf of London situation.
Yeah, totally.
So as I said, Shane produced your album, and look, the man has golden guitars, and he's a very good producer. But why on earth would you want to go back again? What's so good about him?
Oh, good question. Um, I don't know, I just really liked what created with the album, and yeah, it was a bit of a no-brainer for me, really, because I know the lay of the land. I know he's really great, and I really, yeah, I've got along well with him, and so I thought, may as well go again. And yeah, when we started doing this song, it it came back, and it wasn't quite the guitar wasn't quite where I was imagining it, and so I'm like, oh, maybe if you can try some. And I sent through some like songs to kind of like inspire, and I sent through a bunch of like the Allman Brothers,
Oh, okay.
and they've got some really amazing guitar in there, and it's like real guitar, like southern rock kind of stuff. And yeah, he I think he was really tickled pink that that I've sent through some Allman's Brothers like kind of sample ideas, and then yeah, he just took that guitar lick and just turned it into yeah, just something that I'm like, I'll be cleaning the house and I'll be like, meow, 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 meow. I'm pumped. I'm thrilled.
Shane comes through with the goods, as he tends to. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
So when you were recording this song with him, did you actually record a few songs, or you're just going song by song at the moment?
Um, I have recorded, yeah, a handful of songs. I want to work towards another album. I really enjoyed that process, and I like the deeper cuts from
Mhm.
artists, and listening to an entire album. So that's definitely something that I want to work towards. I feel like there's value in that for me as an artist.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I've written a bunch of songs, and then I thought, oh, the ones I'm playing the most at my shows, I should start with them. So this is the first of them, Howl at the Moon.
Do you like to, what sounds like you do like to road test songs at your shows, but is it almost a nervous thing, I guess, when you've got a really new song and you're thinking, oh, is anyone going to like this if I play it?
Yeah, well, I think it is important, well, for me to road test the songs,
Mhm.
because I'm never like, uh, I'm always kind of editing them till they get to a certain point. And so, yeah, I'm listening to how it sounds live, how easy it is to sing and play, if people like are getting into it straight away. Um, and yeah, I think that's an important part of it. But it also kind of means that by the time you get around to recording them, they've been around and in the set for a while. So if they last that long, it's worth getting them down. So you can kind of capture that moment in time and that memory of the song. So yeah.
Hmm. That editing process. So if you're playing a song live, say it was Hell at the Moon, and you're tweaking it or you want to tweak it as a result of playing it live and finding out a few things about it. Do you actually sort of make a voice note and re-record it that way? Do you handwrite your notes? How do you go about that editorial process?
Yeah. Oh, look, whatever's available at the time. Like if you looked in my handbag, you'd see like scraps and notes and different notebooks, and everything's a bit of a jumbled mess. But yeah, however I can. But usually, like with Howl at the Moon, I wrote it as part of the song club with Sam Hawksley.
Right.
Yeah, you probably heard that name and that a lot.
Oh, that was a very productive song club during the
Oh
pandemic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so good. Yeah, I wrote a lot of songs for that. I didn't finish it when I handed that one in. I had the first verse. Yeah, the first few verses and the chorus, but the second verse kind of was elusive. I had something else planned for that, but it wasn't fitting, and so it wasn't until like a few times trying to play it live that I was able to like kind of capture what I wanted to say in that the second kind of verse area.
Yeah. And I hear there were strict rules for that song club as well. It's like if you missed 2 weeks in a row, you were out.
Kicked out, yeah, the pressure.
Yeah. Well, because look, it's great to have that regular deadline. Obviously, it was great for people because a lot of you responded to it. But yes, quite a bit of pressure because things could have been happening. You may not have had the muse show up or however you think of it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, when I started it, actually, my partner's parents were visiting from Canada, so they were going to be here for 6 weeks, and so not only did we have work and gigs, but we had visitors, and so it was just like everything was happening. But I feel like when life's kind of a bit out of control and there's a lot on the plate, it feels like songs kind of come a bit like easier if you
Mm.
sit down and give yourself time and space.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
good.
wonder if it's because when life's busy, you're perhaps not thinking about other things so much because you just focused on trying to get stuff done. So maybe it creates a bit of a vacuum. It's almost like a meditation where that vacuum's there and then the songs come in to fill it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely that could be it for sure.
Now, earlier this year, you released the single "Anything Could Happen" with Bonnie Kellett, which was a great duo. Once I heard about that, I was like, that is a very good idea. Was it your idea or was it her idea?
The song.
Oh, just making something together as well as the song.
Oh, well, with that one, we met at the country music festival, and then we're like, we should write a song, and so we got together and wrote a couple of songs,
Okay.
Bonnie and I, and yeah, she's just fun to hang out with. So yeah, it was good. And then when she decided that she wanted to record the song, she's like, "Oh, do you want to be a part of it?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sounds good." And so we went down to the studio, and then she asked if I wanted to duet or just like backup vocals, and I was just like cool with whatever. Like, but yeah, it ended up being a duet, so it was really fun to do, and fun to record it with Michael Carpenter.
Mhm.
And yeah, I like that song. It's a real like powerful song. It's got a bit in the bridge that I really love, which I get people to chant as well when I play that one live. What is for you won't go by you.
That's
Good.
my next question about that line because when I heard that line, I was like, I think Billy Joe might have written that line, or maybe you didn't. Maybe it was Bonnie and I've got it wrong.
Well, I'll tell you who told me that line. I was gonna make a big life. Well, me and my partner were making a big life decision, and we're thinking about like buying our first kind of house,
Mhm.
and we were thinking about buying it in a certain area, and it just kind of wasn't working out. And this lady came into the store that I was working at, and we were just chatting. She was so great. And I ended up telling her about the whole situation, just like life story splattered across at some random person. And she said to me, what is for you won't go by you. And it's like I guess, a proverb that it's been handed around a fair bit. And I wrote it down and I never forgot it. And yeah, when we were writing Anything Could Happen, I had that in my book, and I told Bonnie about it, and then yeah, it ended up in the song.
And how did you go with the house?
We didn't get it. It
Oh,
wasn't for us.
there you go.
And then because of that, I didn't mind. And so now I think of that when when things happen or they don't happen, I'm just like, oh, what is for you won't go by you. It's a
Uh,
really good mantra.
Do you find you can apply it with music as well, with your music career? Because I would imagine with so many variables, it would feel like you want to control some things because there's a lot that you can't control. But on the other hand, there is so much you can't control.
Yeah, well, that's it. Exactly. Yeah, everyone's just out there doing what they can and having a go and hoping that it all works out. And I guess some some timelines and expectations don't necessarily marry up with what people have in mind, and it can be really disheartening. But for me, I'm just like, oh well, we'll see what happens. And yeah, I've been really lucky, thinking out loud, getting a lot of cool opportunities, and getting to work with people that have inspired me. And yeah, it's I'm really happy with the way things are kind of going, and yeah, the way that the music's getting received by people out there in real life. And I think my my whole thing is for my music is just to create a positive impact on the world through my music. So I can see that, I can see the connections and that happening with people across social media and in real life it shows. And yeah, I've made it.
Well, and to go back to Howl at the Moon, and when I mentioned the primal scream therapy, that is actually a really positive impact in and of itself. One song, and you as a performer giving people permission to do that. I wouldn't mind betting people go out of your shows after that experience and feel quite euphoric just because of and as you know, practicing yoga with mantra, the resonance that happens when people vocalize. Singers obviously feel it quite a bit, but most people will clamp down on that expression unless someone gives them permission.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and this really is giving people permission. If they accidentally end up at a Billie-Jo Porter show, they're going to be doing stuff that they never thought they were going to.
Look, it's I totally appreciate that. As someone who also has that attitude towards things, it's like you go with the flow.
Yeah, yeah, it's all good. It's a safe space.
Yeah.
Life's too short anyway. I mean, like, you know, there's only a certain window of time where you can get out there and like, you know, live to the max.
Mm,
And you can only really do that if you have the mindset to do that. So if
absolutely.
you allow yourself to get out there and have a good time, and yeah, then you're going to have more fun, good times, and life's just going to get better and better.
If you allow yourself to howl at the moon, yeah. Now,
Yeah.
you talked about working with some people, and one form of working with people is co-writing. Your name pops up regularly with other artists with whom they've written songs with you and they've recorded and released those songs. Have you had regular co-writers?
Yes, I have. One regular co-writer is Clint Wilson.
Mhm.
Yep, him and I, we haven't written in ages actually. I need to fire that back up again. But we wrote a lot for his album LA that he released.
Mhm.
And we also wrote a track on my album Last Leaves of Autumn. So yeah, I've really enjoyed working with Clint. Another one, Bonnie Kellett, we've written a couple of songs together now, which has been really good. Who else? Greta Zilla. I've been able to write with her a few times, which has been really cool. She's doing a thing at the moment actually called the Long and Riding Road, where she's writing with, I think it's a new person every week for an entire year.
Right.
And she's collating those songs and going to record something out of it. So, yeah, it's been good. I love co-writing. I'd love to do it more and more. And it's just really fun to be able to create something. And with two or more different people, you just never know what's going to come out of it.
Yeah. Well, and those artists you mentioned are all quite different to each other in terms of style. So it makes me wonder whether you as a co-writer actually help them metaphorically howl at the moon, whether you help them unlock something and that's part of your role in that co-write.
Yeah, well, I feel like with my approach, I'm like, all right, let's just it's okay to say anything that comes out of like off the top of your head. Like I will just say the dumbest things and I don't really care. I'm just like, oh well, what about this? Because if you say that and it's silly, there might be something in that leads to something else. Um and yeah, just running with those I guess, yeah, open lines of communication. Just try and have fun with it as well, and like not to get too serious. So yeah, it makes it a good like hang out as well as like writing the song. And I like writing all sorts of different songs. It doesn't have to be a certain type. Actually, if we're going in and trying to do a certain type of thing, that's not something we've like experienced before, or if it was for somebody else, I'm not sure that I'd be able to bring that like the real genuine well, actually, I probably just relate it to something else in my experience. But if it's like a real thing that's happened to somebody, either me or that other person, I feel like that's easier to kind of dive into and get get something that feels like the truth.
Mm-hmm. Uh, so to completely change the subject, I found out in the course of researching this interview that you have a lot of experience with karate. So it's like, well, yoga and meditation, I actually think are not too far separated from it, but I do all think these things go towards forming an artist, actually. And even though on the face of it, it may look like, oh, that's got nothing to do with it, there are certain pressures you would face in competition, I would imagine, and certain ways you learn of how to use your body and how to focus the breath of the mind. So yeah, when did this start? How far did you get? Take us through it.
Yeah, well, look, when I was growing up in Corindi, which is a little town just outside of Tamworth, I was like, I really want to do karate. But there's, we're in a small town, so there's not much going on in terms of like extracurricular activities. And so I kind of guess I thought I had that thought in my teens. And so when we moved to Tamworth, so like 45 minutes up the road, and I finally had my P's, I found that they had karate lessons at the PCYC. So I was like, all right, I'm going. So yeah, next thing you know, I've started training karate, and yeah, it was really great. And at first I thought the bit at the start where you kind of do this move where you put your head down to the ground and you kind of like, it's, now that I look back, it's like a meditation. It's like a thing that you do at the start of the class, just, you quieten your mind. But at first I thought, oh God, this is weird. But then after a while, I was like getting into it. I couldn't wait for that bit. And yeah, it is all about like, yeah, learning a set of moves and like breathing through it and like punching the air, but in a sequence where you're like, if you had an invisible enemy and things like that. And yeah, so I trained for years. I ended up with a purple belt, and I went to Japan and went in a karate tournament in Okinawa, and I learnt the bow staff and size, which is like Raphael's little fork. So I really enjoyed it. And then I broke my arm when I went snowboarding, and that was the end of that.
Oh no. I think you never went back to it.
No, because I stopped training to go and work at the snow at Perisher,
Right.
and yeah, snapped my arm learning to snowboard. And then when I went back to Tamworth, I was rehabbing my arm and having to swim laps instead of doing the karate. So yeah, there's a lot of moves you need with your arm. So yeah, I didn't end up getting back to it because then I started snowboarding.
Oh, so you weren't put off snowboarding by the broken limb?
No, I repaired my arm and went back down to the snow the following year.
Well, yeah, that's a good example of getting back on the horse.
100%.
Speaking of horses, well, this is a very loose segue, but you're playing at the Gympie Muster. You're playing at the Gympie Muster towards the end of August. The horse thing is, mustering horses. There was the very loose segue. How many times have you played at the Gympie Muster?
Well, I was there last year because I went up as part of the Song Muster, which is the songwriting retreat that happens up at the Australian Academy of Country Music in Gympie. So I got a free ticket from that last year, and they did a showcase. So I went and played the song that I wrote with a bunch of people there. And then I played at the Cake and Cordial session, so a few songs. So I got to play a few songs on my own, but this year is the first year I'm officially on the lineup.
Okay.
I'm going up there with a full band on the Thursday night, and also doing an acoustic show as well. So I've really hit the big time, and I'm really pumped about this show at Gympie.
Well, and Cake and Cordial, I went to a Cake and Cordial at Tamworth a few years ago, and then I've been looking for it in recent times, but I don't think they're happening at Tamworth. But I'm encouraged to hear they're at Gympie.
Yeah, Megan Cooper, she's the fabulous songstress behind the Cake and Cordial, and yeah, she puts together such an amazing show at the Gympie Muster. I think I don't know if it's every single day of the muster. I have a feeling it may be, and then she has, like, different artists on each day, and you get up and you do, like, a 15-minute set,
Mhm.
and there's a lot of people that are there, just to see that kind of, like, acoustic singer-songwriter vibe session, and, yeah, there's something really special about hearing songs in that, you know, stripped down form.
Mhm.
And there's an appetite for it. There's a lot of people that go and religiously watch the Cake and Cordial at the muster. Yeah.
And for anyone who hasn't been, it's what it says on the tin in terms of catering, because it's they're at Tamworth at least, and perhaps at the muster, they're morning shows and at venues that don't have licenses. So cake and cordial are the order of the day.
Yeah, it's so good. And, like, oh, the Cake and the Cordial is such a hit. Like, as soon as it comes out, people are into it.
Yeah, again, it's that thing about giving people permission, I think. It's like you're allowed to have the sugary drink and the sugary treat, and you don't have to pretend to like beer or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. So who is going to be in your band for the muster?
Oh, okay. I'm getting every man and his dog, to be honest.
Right.
Gonna be good. I've got Paul Bain on drums, Sonic Edwards on bass, Damien Caffarella on guitar. My partner Kyle's going to be playing the keys, and my mate Tom is going to be playing some trumpet.
I'm impressed you managed to pin down Mr. Caffarella. He's a very busy individual.
Oh, I know. He's actually hopefully he makes it to the gig, to be honest, because he's got a show with Swifty at another stage, and then I think he's got like a 15-minute turnaround to get from there to my set, and his partner Mel is going to be moving his equipment to mine. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
Surely there's a golf buggy that someone can take. I don't know, like having not been to the muster, I have no idea how much distance there is between stages, but you know.
It's all pretty close. Actually, I'd definitely recommend going. It's like one of the coolest festivals I've been to.
Yes, I've heard this many, many times now. So one day maybe my arm will be twisted and I'll go. But I like Tamworth because it's all in buildings. See, like it's
Yeah.
quite civilized in that respect.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can, yeah, get an actual toilet. Like, oh no, there's toilets at the muster as well. Yeah. Um, yeah.
Look, it's an important consideration if you're going to be there for a few days, I think, to have a flushing toilet. But
Yeah.
speaking of Tamworth, you have already announced your Tamworth 2025 show, and I thought, do they just get earlier and earlier with these announcements? So obviously, it's almost like you have to start organising it as soon as the previous festival's over.
Yes. Well, that's kind of what happened. I did the show last year with Colin Lilly at Moonshiners, and we had such a great show. And then, yeah, this year I'll be doing my own headline show. So I'm very excited about that, to be able to, like, yeah, put together an entire show, and yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you have a few other gigs coming up between the muster and Tamworth, and playing in quite a few different places. So do you tend to get in the car and head off for these gigs?
Pretty much, yeah. Actually, to be honest, this year and kind of last year, I've started to kind of spread my wings a little bit further than I have in the past, and it's been really great. Went all the way down to Albury, which is on the border of New South Wales and Victoria. We went all the way up to Lake Proserpine up near Airlie Beach, and Udi's in Bundaberg and this year, and down around Queanbeyan and the Hunter Valley with Colin Lilly, which was all really awesome. And then, yeah, for the rest of the year, got shows up in Tweed Heads. We're heading down to Maitland with Clint Wilson, which is going to be a good one. So yeah, I just keep saying yes and getting in the car and going places and meeting new people, and I'm really loving it. I'm really loving being able to get out there and meet everyone and play songs in new spots. And yeah, it's been what I've wanted to do. So it's good to see it's all kind of starting to happen.
Yeah, well, I think you've definitely created it, and people now know that if they're coming to your show, some howling at the moon will be expected, and in fact, they'll likely enjoy it. So, I think-
You're gonna do it and you're gonna like it.
well, I'd imagine doing it gimpy, right? You're going to be outdoors.
Oh,
It's going to resonate across the hills.
let's do it. Yep, I'm keen to see what happens. I reckon people let their hair down in Gympie. I'm hoping so. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, I'm now going off to check the moon chart and see if the full moon coincides with your gimpy show.
Imagine if it does. But to be honest, you don't even need a full moon. You don't
Yeah.
even need a moon at all. You could just do it at any point in time. It's just go and get it, people. Just howl in general.
Well, I think that's an excellent point on which to conclude our conversation. Billie-Jo Porter, what a delight to speak to you again. Thank you very much for howling at the moon and for chatting to me.
Oh, Sophie, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show.